What is up, everybody? I'm back here with Veve Magic. Yeah, how are you doing? Good?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, we just had that Encanto drop. I'm actually do want to talk about that because I don't have the full set yet. I did go for one on the drop, and I got Luisa, who I love. I love that character a lot. But I have looked at those collectibles, and they are so well done. Like in
Right.
terms of precision and textures and just everything, skin tone. They're so spot on. Like they look like they were pulled directly out of the movie and given to us. I'm like ecstatic, and the glow off of Bruno, like, oh, it's so good. Such a good job.
Right. And it didn't even sell out, right? I think there was like,
I haven't checked recently, but it hadn't.
yeah.
No.
See, this is what like really is interesting to me because I'm like, maybe we just don't have the user base in yet. Like, where are these Disney fans? It's just all these like crypto people. I mean, maybe you're like an exception, but I don't feel like there's many people like you in this app right now.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm not a crypto person by any means,
Yeah.
and I love all the Disney IP. I mean, I would go for more and stack more if I wasn't so in at this point. But I've loaded quite a few gems into this app, and
Yeah.
it's like I have to get to the point, and maybe people are like me, I have to get to the point where I pick and choose. I mean, up until like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I had every single Disney set. I'm now, I think there's 3 that I haven't completed because I'm broke. But
Yeah.
I love the IP, and I want to have all of them, and I love them all. But we're starting to see just how much IP is available, and I start going to my head thinking, okay, this is great, but I know eventually this other stuff will come, and I want to be able to get that stuff. So I'm getting to where I have to pick and choose, you know?
Exactly. And this is where the whole game becomes so difficult because like even if you are a massive Disney fan like you, there's just like unless you're spending like literally hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep up with it all in
Yeah.
the end, right? Like you're not going to be able to collect everything, unfortunately. And so it's like that's where it's becoming interesting now because I think there's only like 4,500 editions total, maybe or less for that entire drop. But
And
maybe
it's a good drop. It's a
and
really
it's a good
popular
drop.
movie.
And wasn't that like one of the most popular songs, or if not the
Oh
most
yeah.
popular?
I
Yeah.
think I might be wrong, but I think it won an Oscar. I think that song did. I'm
See,
not
there you
entirely
go.
sure, so don't quote me on that. But
Yeah.
it did win awards in the Oscars this year, so it was a huge success for Disney. Huge fan base. I mean, I went to the Halloween party this year, and it's like there were so many people dressed as the Madrigal family, and yeah, they have an extensive fan base. So that's one of those that, once those people finally find Vivi, that's one of those IPs that I think people will want to go to. They're going to go after their favorites. They're going to go after, Frozen and Cars and Toy
Mm.
Story, all those major top favorite IPs from Disney. Those are the kind of like, so back in the day, I was stacking, Woody and Lightning McQueen and that kind of stuff because I know the fan base. And I would love to do that with this one that we just had. I just can't.
I know. It's tough, right? But what if Vivi starts burning them without our knowledge? And all of a
Oh,
sudden now those editions go down big time, right?
I'd be kicking myself so hard.
Yeah. So Magic, why are people spending, $13,000 on Splash Mountain water, but not $3,000 on Walt? That's what I really want to know.
Yeah, so and that's been like an interesting topic on Twitter is people have posted about this water, and then you have the people coming in, well, that's not what it actually sold for. Those are just what, there was best offer taken, so we don't know the actual sell price. But I know Comics and Crypto had posted some actual sales data on like this is what the price was, and there are some legit high dollar sales. I remember when they first, this was pre-COVID, they said they were going to retheme Splash Mountain, and they took away all the merch. I was so upset because like the visit before that, I had come off the ride, and there was this sweatshirt that said everything is satisfactual. And I really, really wanted to buy it, but I was like, oh no, I've already spent so much money here today. I'm not going to get it. And again, this is like where I see there could be the same thing with Vivi. I'm kicking myself for not buying that sweatshirt. And
Right.
I feel like that's going to happen too. I will be kicking myself once we have all these fans and you can't get, some of these characters for reasonable prices.
Right. So how the heck are we going to attract all these people? Because like, you go to Disneyland like almost every week from what I see, and you're in there, you're in the store, and I'm like, do we have to like tag the like item that you buy with like a digital one so that you'd actually go into like the Vivi app and then be like, oh, like maybe this is kind of cool, and it would just be like and maybe it would just spawn once you actually purchase the physical item, so there wouldn't just be like a massive amount waiting. Or like do we have to wait till like augmented reality becomes a thing before people understand the use case? Like we're like, because that's what I really want to know. Like people are so crazy about Disney and they'll like spend so much money on it, but I'm like, why isn't that translating over into like the digital?
Yeah, I mean, you have these people that will spend $5,000 on a weekend experience for that Star Wars hotel. So wouldn't it make sense that they would want to have these digital collectibles? And I think it goes back to just where we are and realizing that we're still, I don't want to say the infancy stages, but if you zoom out, we are still sort of in the infancy stages of VB still. And so the more that they start engaging with the marketing, which we're already seeing, and the more that they can tie directly with Disney into things, that's when you're, in my opinion, going to start seeing a lot more engagement. I mean, it takes one Marvel Mighty at Avengers Campus in a store and a tag saying, redeem for the digital counterpart,
Right.
for one thing like that to just catch, and you start getting the influx. So, and I love the AR stuff too. I think if people start seeing that more and more, it's going to bring in more people too, because the Disney fans are really into the technology and where things are going. I mean, the parks are doing so much stuff. They're incorporating drones. They're AR. They kind of have like AR photos now, and one of them is funny. It has Baby Groot, and it looks exactly like our digital
Oh,
collectible. And so they can take pictures and have them on their shoulder and stuff. So the more closely that we get tied in to VV with that kind of stuff, I think is going to be super beneficial to where the app goes.
super interesting. And I've only been to there a few times, but every time I'm there, like I'm still amazed by some of the technology that they use already, like even the holograms that you see. So I guess what I'm interested in is like if they can already kind of create these digital experiences
Mhm.
for people there, without them actually owning those NFTs, would there be like strong enough of an incentive to like buy a Darth Vader like you are that's animated when they're like might be seeing Star Wars and seeing Darth Vader walk around and they're like, oh, well, I already, what's the big catch? Oh, it's an NFT. I own it, but like, what do I get from it if I'm
Right.
already getting this? Like, that's where I guess is there like a distinction? Like, would there be enough of I guess a push to be like, oh, I actually need this digital collectible forever? You know what I mean?
I think that's where like scarcity plays a part too. I mean, when people find out like this Disney 100 stuff, when they find out that there's only so many of a certain collectible or collection being made, they go wild for it. And
Right.
so they have to also understand what these digital collectibles are. They understand that there's only 5,000 of this one character, and only 5,000 people can have them. That's more enticing, right? Because then they're like, oh, I own something that only 4,999 or less other people can have. So I
Right.
want that. So there's something to be said for scarcity and demand when it comes to Disney IP and fan bases around the world with Disney IP. They go nuts over limited edition items. So if
Hmm.
they start to understand what these digital collectibles are, what they can do, that there might be value with them in the future. And all those pieces click together for them. That's when they will, get hungry for it.
Right. Yeah. Great points there. And that's one thing that I'm even like more understanding now is the scarcity element with popularity. Like when I looked at like the second C3PO, for instance, that was dropped, there was like I forget exactly the edition, but it was under 500. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's going to do well because we already have like the FA, and to me aesthetically, it wasn't like the nicest looking. It was still really cool,
Yeah.
but then like I'm looking at the floor today, and it's like 1K, and I'm like,
Really?
damn,
Wow.
yeah. So I'm like, people like you said, like when you have that scarcity element, people really kind of go gung ho for it. And coming up to like Disney 100, like you said, this
Mhm.
is literally a once in a lifetime thing. I mean,
Yeah.
what are we going to have 150 in our lifetime? And like, maybe we'll be able to upload our consciousness to a mechanical body and see 200. But other than that, like, that's probably the end of it. So, like, what are they planning? And do you think that like aligns with Vivi and like they might have some crazy stuff coming up?
I mean, I'm excited. We did that live stream on my channel a couple weeks ago, or however long it's been, and that was my question to Alex is, are we going to see more Disney 100 stuff? Like I'm seeing it all throughout the parks. We got, the one drop that was, coined that it was part of a Disney 100 collection. This Encanto drop is Disney 100 celebration. So, and he did say that, yes, we are going to get more. And I think that's really exciting. And I think it also goes again to prove the strength of the relationship that Disney has with Veve, because, Disney could have said, Disney 100 is huge for us and we want to branch out and maybe look at some other avenues or do our own thing in this, new NFT atmosphere. But they haven't, right? They've been staying with Veve and it's just started and there's already been two Disney 100 drops. And I think that's a pretty big deal. I think that's showing how strong that partnership is. And that makes me super bullish on it, that they're keeping the IP with Veve specifically and not branching out to other avenues, because they could very easily.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I mean, it's amazing that like the IP that continues to drop, like, like even we have like Star Wars posters tomorrow. Do you think that will sell out, by the way? I'm kind of curious about.
I didn't look at the mint sizes.
Yeah.
I just, based on the current climate, I don't see them selling out per
Yeah.
se. I really like the secret rare one though, because it was like more of a concept piece.
True. Yeah, it looked a little different than the other
So I think
ones.
that's really cool. And it's also, I feel like that's, Lucasfilms giving us like a little piece of their history. Like
Hmm.
avid Star Wars fans, I think if they like knew about Veve and saw that, would be like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, it's like getting a poster in real life that never made it. It was like, it was the concept poster, but somebody has that in their collection because they either worked on the film or whatever. So to
Right.
be able to have the opportunity to own something like that, I think is really, really awesome. And that's, in my opinion, like very generous of Lucasfilms to give us something that's almost like sacred, it's almost like a little secret.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. And I think like the other thing I always look at is like, what would I pay for this in real life? Like $30
Yeah,
doesn't seem like a big deal for like a poster that was derived from that era that
exactly.
looks as badass as that. So it's like, this is where it's becoming interesting. Like people are like, oh, well, Vivi's dropping too much IP, but I'm like, did you ever think that production is going to cease to exist? Like just like you see in the real world, like it's not as if like manufacturing companies are like, okay, well, because we're in inflation right now, like we better hold product back. I
Right.
mean, you know what I mean? Like just like what typical companies are doing in the physical world, they're just producing less, and Vivi's giving less editions out. So I do think that I'm staying the course, and I still believe in the long-term vision. And I'm like, man, I think whoever is like really picking up on these little like these pretty good IPs that are like not really getting picked up, like Daredevil or like America Chavez, or like all these
Mhm.
ones that are like low editions,
Yeah.
I think will have a big turnout.
I do too. This is this kind of stuff that I feel, being early, there's things that I look back on and wish I had done more of. I wish I'd gotten more Todds. I wish I, like certain moves I wish I had
Mm,
made. And I was actually just thinking about this earlier today, that I was thinking about the mint sizes and how, Vivi listened to the consumers and have lowered the mint sizes. And when this does take off, these mint sizes are going to increase again, right? When we start getting more and more users, they're going to have to up those editions. So it's like this time that we're in right now won't last forever. And so those items that are dropping now are going to be incredibly scarce in the long run. I mean, there's not
mm.
going to be, 5,000 mint drops anymore as a common or whatever. So that's again where I'm like, man, I wish I could stack, because it's, having 5 of, the Encanto drop that came today, not a lot of people are gonna be able to have that. And then we're gonna be at say the next series of Encanto characters, there might be 15,000 editions. And so it's like, the ones that we're getting now are just gonna be so, so scarce.
I love that you said that, because we've seen these like cycles in Pokemon in 2006. I always talk about it, but even when I first started VV, it was the same kind of thing. Like there was a lot of FUD, there wasn't a lot of interest, and like
Mhm.
whoever was actually silently stacking when a boom came, like did really really well. So
Right.
I agree with you that I think like if we stay the course, and even though it's harder to find cash and to like actually spend it on these things, I do think that like if you have conviction, it might turn out for the better. So yeah, that's a good point you make.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, if I had the means, I definitely would be stacking, especially like you were saying, some of these drops that have been so limited. America, who we know is going to be in the MCU. I mean, characters that we
Mhm.
know are going to have a future, be popular, or stay popular with fans, and we have such a limited amount on VV. I'm just like kicking
Yeah.
myself, wishing I had more of them because I see tremendous opportunity there.
Same here. And this is, like, where I get confused because 'cause I'm like, how come Disney hasn't really, like, pushed the marketing full tilt yet? And Comics and Crypto always says it's because like, the walls aren't up for the house. And I
Mhm.
think that's probably the best explanation I've heard is that, like, they're still, like, we don't wanna move too quick, too fast, and then if you get, like,
Mhm.
a massive influx, people are gonna be like, "Oh, this isn't working, where's the MCP?" All these things, so
I'm gonna build it
I
right.
get that. Yeah, but, like, what do you think the impact would be if, like, Disney, Star Wars, Marvel, like, all simultaneously started, like, announcing every drop, as an example that Vivi had? Like, is that in the
I
realm of
can't even
possibility?
imagine.
Yeah,
I can't
right?
even imagine what that would do. I mean, we saw a little taste of that with the golden moments, and that
Mhm.
Disney actually tweeted it, and that was when we got an influx of a lot of new users, is because they saw that tweet, and that may have been a point where they're like, okay, we tested that out, we want to roll it back and wait until we like exactly the layout and how the company is operating, how that everything is in place the way it should be. And I think both sides are being very patient. I think they're probably talking very frequently to each other and making sure they're all on the same page. Who knows if one side is pushing more than the other for more marketing, but I think they are very much on the same page with how they want to do it, and I think it's smart. I think they have to be careful how quickly they expand. And yes, of course I would love to see more users and see my portfolio go up, but
Yep.
I would rather them do it the right way for the longevity of my portfolio, you know?
Exactly, and then, like you said, if you're confident enough now,
Mhm.
where there maybe it is riskier to, like, put more marbles into it, but at the same time, it could have, like, a massive payoff, right? But here's, like, the next thing is, like, utility. We kind of, like, picked Alex's brain on your channel not long ago, which is if you haven't seen that interview, go check it out on Magic Channels now. This is, like, with me, VV Magic, Silicon, and Alex kinda popped in, and you always get Alex on. I need Alex, if you're listening to this, you need to come on my channel
He
one time.
will, he will.
Yeah. But the utility part was difficult because, he said that these are, like, very, detailed kind of, I guess, relationships. And when you're, like, creating this kind of drop, like, these are kind of the parameters you're setting. And so to go back and be like, oh, we also want to add utility now, could be a problem potentially with legal and all these things. So, for instance, like, do we see potentially a platinum Mickey for the Disney Golden Moment holders? You know what I mean? Like, or do you think it's just kind of like,
I'd be happy just to get whitelisted for something. Because I can't, any of the like extremely popular Disney drops, Marvel drops, whatever, I cannot land them. I even
yeah,
Lambo, I drove to a tower and had full bars, 5G plus, still couldn't land that drop. I'm so
ah,
upset. So I mean, obviously I'll be happy when we have the queue and we can use points and stuff like that, because I'll use that on drops that I really care about. But uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think I know that the team really wants utility, and I believe that Disney also wants it. But again, I think this goes back to like sort of the marketing, that they want to grow at the right pace. You know what I mean?
mhm,
And not
mhm,
do too much at once. They want to understand the landscape, understand the market, understand the user base, and maybe it's when they get more users, and once the app is a little bit further down the way, and the marketing actually starts rolling out, maybe that's when utility comes into play. But I know those conversations are being had. Alex has said it. I know he really wants it himself. Well, not for himself, but for us. He knows how important it is to us, so I know those conversations are occurring. And again, we just have to be patient. I don't know what utility could. That's the thing too, is utility could be so many different things with Disney
mm,
and the IP. It could just be getting airdrops. It could be getting whitelisted. It could be experiences. It could be discounts. It could be parks related. Like
right.
there's so much, and they have to figure out sort of what path they want to take and at what rate they want to grow. So, we've seen a little
Mhm.
bit with, if you get a whole set, you can get airdrop something. And I think they're seeing how that goes. And then hopefully, they just keep nudging a little bit further along the path and more and more. I'm excited and hopeful to see something occur, but is it going to happen tomorrow? No.
Yeah, I got you. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people are kind of hoping it does happen tomorrow, but like
No.
just
I mean, I
anything. Yeah,
do
but
too.
anything good takes time, and you make some great points, and I think like even like I think sometimes, man, imagine going to like Disneyland and you see a store like Disney X Vivi, and there's like actual Disney employees like in there with their augmented reality glasses, and they're like, oh yeah, this is how you like scale this character, turn them, this is how you make them dance, and like you're showing kids and you're showing families, and it's like this loving environment, and like that's where like I think the branding hashtag collectors at heart, even though it doesn't necessarily appeal to me or guys that want to spend 100 ETH, but I do think that it appeals to like all those new people.
Really does.
um yeah, right. So
Yeah.
like, do you really feel like that branding initiative could really like kind of take flight and eventually?
Yeah, as a person that sees how big of a fan base and collector base that Disney is, it makes perfect sense to me. I think it's appealing directly to those people. I mean, I go into the art store with the collectibles and I see how much people want them, and it really is playing directly into them. I mean, there's people that are so loyal to specific brands that are partnered with Disney that I see. Like I love Harvey's handbags, and I had to get to a point where I'm like, I can't buy anymore because they're expensive. But it has a loyal fan base. Those bags sell out in a matter of seconds, almost every
Mm,
single Disney release that they have. And it's funny because their other bags, they create all sorts of different types of bags, and their other ones don't. Disney, every time, sold out.
wow. Wow.
So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, once it gets the right traction and people understand, I see it being very, very, very similar. So
Very cool. And I guess the Disney metaverse, right? I mean, it still never made sense to me that they'd be like, yeah, VV, we're gonna give you our IP and here are the best NFTs, and like, and simultaneously we're also creating like our metaverse. And like one thing that I keep saying to people, but because I feel like it's actually a little bit different now, but for a while it was a really slow rollout by VV, that I was thinking that they were just acquired by Disney and they were just going to be like the VV store within the Disney metaverse as an example. Um, but I mean, you know, I guess explain to me like like these Imagineers and how these like CEOs and all these executives probably function, like they're probably very calculated. So do you think it was like some people just say it was like a misstep or they just wanted to like enter into the NFT space but didn't realize what they were giving away, or do you think this was like more of an like elaborate strategy to potentially include Vivi into like their bigger plans long term?
I mean, I don't know. I'm not, I haven't sat in those meetings, but I mean,
Yeah,
I like to think that,
yeah.
Vivi is part of that conversation. I mean, we know that Vivi wants us to be able to bring in other IPs of, from OpenSea and whatever into the Vivi verse. Similarly, I think they want us to be able to take our stuff into other metaverses. It'd be great if the two are somehow melded together. But even if they're not, if we can take our NFTs and use them in the Disney metaverse, I think that's going to be really exciting. Oh, and the other
Yeah.
thing I wanted to say, talking about like people at the parks, and I see these fan bases and everything. I do from time to time try to make um, AR photos, and I'm shy, and so I always people don't know what I'm doing. And I'll ask a cast member, they'll be like, "Oh, get your kids in the picture." I'm like, "No, no, no, I don't want the kids." Like I was trying to direct. I put the Mickey Mouse logo next to Spider-Man, and I'm trying to direct him, and he was so confused. He's like, I just stand here, and I'm like, do a Spidey thing. I don't know. But then I show them the picture afterwards, and they're always
Yeah.
like, I get this disbelief look from people that I show where they're like, that's really cool, but I don't understand it. And I just think
Mm,
there's so much of that they just still don't understand what to do with these things, and not the value, but like I don't get what does this all mean, like everybody's
yeah.
still in love. That's cool, but what does it mean? And so there's a lot of education that has to take place. But there's not been a time where I haven't shown someone a picture and they aren't wowed. Every time they're
Mhm.
wowed, but they're just like, what just happened? Like they're left
Right.
dumbfounded. And so that's where like the education and and the marketing and just seeing more of this every day is going to have to come into play for people to really understand the value and why they want it.
Right. Great points. And I'm like so glad to give them those like real practical examples because that's what I think too, is like sometimes I'm like I'm seeing these things in augmented reality and they're not like, did I just take off there? Can you hear me
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, you're good.
So weird. It's just like I just like my computer just went gray.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry. Let me just make sure this is good.
yeah, you're
Okay,
fine.
yeah.
Nothing changed
So
here.
random. Okay, so I'll just start off where I was again. But yeah, like so I see a lot of people like, looking into augmented reality, they don't really get it, like you said. And even for me, when I'm like using it and putting a comic in my like 3D space, it takes me a while to get like the right angle to like, open the page the right way. And then if there's like weird lighting, it like starts to like move, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
it's jittery. So it's early. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping that like when we get on the actual glasses, whenever those are released, that it's going to be like a lot more precise. So like when you do put a collectible there, you can like be like, oh yeah, let's position it right here and like make it look my way. Because I feel like that's also a barrier. Like people like even my dad as an example, I was showing him and he's like, wait a second, like my fingers are too clunky.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't figure it out. You do it for me. So it wasn't really that cool for him because it was like a barrier for him.
Right.
Um, and it's those little things, those like a bunch of little things, and you're like, oh, this is the first NFT. Well, I don't even know what an NFT is, and why
Hmm.
does it matter that I own it? And so it's like you said, the education part is huge. And then
And fine
how
tuning. A lot of
right?
fine tuning on Vivi's part of those little nuances because they see the same stuff.
Yeah,
Do you think the Vivi thinks the app is perfect and exactly where they want it to be? No, they're trying to like they want to fine tune all that stuff before they get large influxes of people.
right.
So that people don't come in and go, "Oh, I really like that collectible, but like I don't understand how to do anything with it. It's really glitchy, it's really hard, blah blah blah." You want to have the consumer experience be perfect, you know?
Hmm. And they have it so far with like the app where you can like just quickly get into it. You can, click the Apple Pay on the side of your phone, get an NFT. They
Dangerous.
hide all the wires and the back doors, right? Yeah. No, I mean it's getting closer, which is good, but I do think there's just like how educated are Disney fans on collecting? Like these people that are going and buying, all these like Mickey Mouses and like these backpacks and the purses, like do they only understand like really the scarcity component, or do they understand like, oh, this is the first time that this is being released and therefore it has like an extra premium? Like how much of them are like actual collectors rather than just people that are just like, oh, I love this and I want it,
Yeah, it's
you know?
complicated. So, I
Yeah.
mean, there's totally a huge resale market. I mean, there's people that use bots for like these purses, right? There was one
Yeah.
drop that was Nightmare for Christmas that I wanted really bad. And, it was limit one per customer and it still sold out instantly. I couldn't get it. But, before these people even had them delivered to their homes, they've got them listed on eBay for 10x. So there is
Mm,
that element that we have in Vivi of flippers that also exists in real collectibles. And so you have those kind of people. You have the people that just want a specific character because that's their favorite and they collect anything and everything. There's somebody that I talked to on Discord, and he and his wife are huge Snow White collectors, and he said a third of his house is Snow White collectibles. So you
hmm.
have the people that just go after a specific IP. And then you have the people that sort of want a little bit of everything. It's probably more where I'm at, where I want a little bit of everything, but especially stuff that's super limited, I'm very interested in because I understand that as time goes on, the value of those things is going to go up because it was only created for so many people.
Right. And it's amazing to me that like there's a perpetual cycle where it just doesn't stop. Like they can just keep producing and
Yeah.
people are going to keep buying and the fans are more loyal. And if anything, even if there's a turnover, more people are coming in.
Mhm.
So they're like really sustainable. And like that's what I find interesting is like, you know, is there like a lot of instances in collecting through Disney products, physical products, where like they just completely tanked, where like people bought things and then they like I'll give you an example. Like I think like Beyblades back in the day, kind of had a flash in the pan. People wanted those. Like, there's like Tamagotchi. Like, there's so many things that maybe had like a fad, and maybe Disney like got in on that fad, and then now they're not worth much. But like, for the most part, would you presume that like all Disney products from like history have been done okay? I guess.
Um, no, I think there's been failures. I'm looking right now because you reminded me of something. So remember when Pogs were such a big thing?
Yes, I was looking for that
Disney
one.
Disney totally got on board with the Pogs, and you could visit the park, and you were given um, these Pogs. And I don't remember the exact story, but it flopped. But I'm looking on, you know, eBay right now, and there's a set, Disneyland Pog set. Looks like there's only like 6 of them, and it's selling, well, it's listed for $140. But then there's other ones that are like $5.99. So, that's something that people might hang on to, and over the course of history that might go up, or maybe it never will and it was just a massive flop. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, they've definitely jumped on board with certain things that didn't do as they hoped.
Right. And I think that's just I always just try to be like a realist in this and just keep I'm just like, picking your brain because I'm just looking at these assets. And I think the biggest thing too, and a lot of people disagree now, but like first on chain always meant a lot to me because I always just saw like the NFT market like just getting more and more and more saturated. And
Mhm.
I'm presuming that like although Vivi's like, the forerunner, I think eventually Disney will probably like they already have, I think with like I forget what it is, but like Polygon or something. But I'm sure they're gonna get way more into like, NFTs being kind of with a bunch of different platforms. So um, I guess like is there anything like that, like first time action figures or first at like Steamboat Willie the first time it came out in a physical form, like is that something that's really cherished? Is there any like record of something like that?
That, I mean, I haven't looked personally. I'm sure there is certain stuff. I know like really old collectibles definitely hold a lot of value.
Yeah.
But you bring up a point I wanted to make. So I started a TikTok, and have incorporated some of my videos of AR at the parks, and I use a lot of hashtags with Disney stuff to try and get Disney viewers to see them. And they've done okay, right? But what's really interesting is I made a TikTok of this book of my collectibles of
So sick.
the medallions, right? And just like going throughout the park and all the places, and then actually getting the coins and what the coins look like. This TikTok I just looked today, I think I posted it a week ago, has ironically 3,333 views, and
That's
that's
good.
huge.
That's
But
big.
it's a physical collectible of Disney, and it's
Mm.
something people are interested in. So my hope is that they see something like this and then they go see all the other stuff. But it's funny because I feel like a lot of those people probably have seen some of my other stuff and they don't get it. This they
Mm.
get. This they understand. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
that's kind of my hopes. I want to keep doing more content like this, um, to get those physical collectors their eyes, and see that I'm also a physical collector. I'm not just trying to shill NFTs. Um, but that they understand that like this is my next, like this is my new avenue of collecting, and these are these new assets that I love to collect, and they'll see that and maybe get more interested. But it's interesting that park stuff and physical collectibles, how many views it gets. So
Mm.
that was like a light bulb in my head. I'm like, I need to keep creating stuff like this for people to see, because this is what they understand right now, and this is what grabs at them, and just keep throwing those other videos in there and see where it goes.
That's so cool. That's so cool that you mentioned that. And I've got a similar story because I've been doing like YouTube shorts recently,
Hmm.
and I had like Miles Morales and Lamborghini like together under the CN Tower.
Okay, I see you.
Yeah, and all these people like commented on it. I didn't get that many views, but it was probably near 1,000 now. But it's like my first time doing a short. But yeah, like a lot of people said fake. They're like, no, that's completely fake. And I'm like thinking about it. If I'm somebody that doesn't know about much about NFTs, I would presume, like you said, NFTs to me are like a picture, like a JPEG, something that I would see like in a
And you can
wallet.
do so much with that kind of stuff nowadays. You can do so much animation with stuff that doesn't exist.
Right. But and exactly. So like I think maybe it's two factor where they think it's like an animation and then they're like, oh, maybe they don't know that like the augmented reality component is tied to that digital collectible.
Right.
So it's just crazy. Like the education is like massive. And this is the other thing, like people always talk about like first appearance, first edition, like that's not commonplace terms. Like as soon as we do have people on board, like they're just gonna like jump and flock to the IP that they love
Right.
and probably know less about the additions, less about what FA means and things to that nature. So it's just like sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm like beating my head on a wall and being like, is like what is going on? Like how come we're not waking up and seeing all like how come, LeBron James hasn't put Spider-Man Secret Rare on the basketball court yet and been like out with Spidey? Like that's just the kind of stuff that I'm like, I always thought we were gonna see that, you know?
I think we will. I think it's still to come. I mean, we had the Alex is going to kill me for not knowing his name, but that LA Dodger that put his golden moment R2D2 next to him on the field, and everyone was like, "Oh my god!"
True. That was back in that hype period, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think we'll start seeing more and more of that, and that's certainly going to help. I mean, they've talked about different avenues they're going to take with marketing, and influencers
Yeah.
might be a road that they go down. And I mean, if done the right way by the influencers, I think that could make a huge impact for sure.
Such a good point. I actually, now that you said that, I remember like Sergio Aguero, a soccer player. I think he had like the Captain America Secret Rare
Mm,
uh beside his Christmas tree, like in augmented
right.
reality or something. And I was like, wow. And we've mentioned this before, but like Neymar has like a Batman and Spider-Man tattoo. You know what I mean? And like Eminem has like the first AF-15 comic in a high grade. Like, so it's like all these people love this shit. You know what I mean?
It's there. It's just not quite fitting together yet. We'll get
Yeah,
there.
exactly. Like
I
it's
believe
all
we'll get
leading
there.
here. Yeah, augmented reality, all these partnerships, all these people, they all like it's just like the funnel needs to kind of close in, and the answer needs to be Vivi, you
Yeah.
know?
I mean, it's funny though, because like these videos, I think I don't think any of them, I've gotten some in the 800 range, I want to say, in views, but I don't think I've broken 1,000. I haven't done a lot of them. I've done maybe, I don't know, 9 of them.
Good.
But it's just amazing what this other video about basically the same thing that I love can do in the matter of a week. I mean, it 3x'd what any of my other videos have done.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where for me that was motivating, because I figured out how to get into the demographic. I figured out how to get their attention, and I found the collectors. Now I just need to help with the education more.
Right. Right. And I think like, even for me, the first time I saw a digital collectible, I don't know about you, but even I was
Oh,
like shocked by the price. I was like, "What? You're gonna make me pay $80 for this like thing that there's
I said that
7,500
about
editions
Todd
of?"
when Silicon told me to buy Todd. I'm like,
Yeah.
$80.
Yeah.
And then
Like,
I remember that being in my backyard, and I remember this is why I can sympathize and understand where the growth is lacking and why the people aren't here, because I remember looking at it in my yard in AR and being like, I don't get it. I just why?
yeah,
Like, I
right.
don't understand it. And so I know I'm not alone in that thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now I understand so much more about it. I understand the collectability. I understand, long-term potential values, but it took a while to get there. It took a lot of education and a lot of time for me to get to that point.
And it's like it's crazy because like you're such a smart person, and it's like even for me that took like the biggest thing for me is when I noticed like the community, like their thoughts around it, because I went on Telegram. I wasn't like that interested first, and then I went on Telegram, and like people were like, "That's the first Batman NFT," and some other people were saying like, "Oh, it's Vivi's, like if Vivi ever goes anywhere, then like that's their first NFT." Da da da. It's and like and that's what started to hit me. I was like, "Oh, wait a second, like maybe we're onto something here," and obviously other people care about it, but that's the thing, like we've almost created our own narrative in a way, right? Like Vivi didn't create
We've
that.
all
Like
influenced each other. All of us.
exactly.
The whole community has influenced each other. We've all learned from each other. We've all, you know, derived the meanings of what this stuff is from each other.
Yeah.
Vivi hasn't really said or done anything about that, right? Like they haven't
Yeah.
said this is valuable because of this and this is what this means. But imagine when they do start coming out with more storytelling about these things and more about what these are and the importance, or Disney comes out with storytelling about digital collectibles and what they could mean to you as a Disney fan and collector, and then people start being influenced and understanding and hearing those things rather than just looking at it, rather than me showing somebody a picture on my phone of something in AR and them going, I don't get it. Somebody telling them with influence,
Hmm.
company or whatever, telling them, then they understand it and then they want it.
So this is really interesting that you say that. So I don't know if I ever told you like my role at the hospital, but basically like I'm in project management and I do like implementation for like so essentially what happens is there's new evidence that comes out, and then that evidence needs to get like pushed into practice, but
Mm,
there's people like me that actually are the ones behind the scenes like helping kind of getting it into practice.
mm,
And generally you have a lot of like older physicians or people that don't want to take the new evidence because like, oh, I've always done it this way works, but you're like, hey, this new drug is actually way better, you need to like shift. And so what's interesting is that like despite all the scientific methods for like changing somebody's perspective, as soon as they have a colleague or a good
Mhm.
friend come up and be like, yeah, you're wrong, you need to do this instead, immediately it's like a light switch. And
And
so
that's
we call
right.
those people champions. We're like, oh, we need champions to like help transition people over. And generally that's like, one of the major things to do. So I agree with you that once you have a trusted friend or somebody that's like telling you about this stuff and sitting down with you and explaining it to
Mhm.
you, it only takes like 20 to 30 minutes to really get them on board, right?
Well, I mean, think about physical collectibles throughout history. I mean, not everybody collected everything. And there's, say like super old cars, a lot of them were junked because they're like, oh, this is an old car. I need to get a new
Mm,
one. And so you have some super, super scarce old cars that somebody saw potential in and kept and is now worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But
right.
they had that foresight, and then it became collectible. I mean, it's like I kind of see these things as kind of going down the same path eventually, is
Yeah.
that, we have the foresight right now, if we choose to see these things and the potential of what they could be in the future and realize that this is a new way of collecting something, and
Mm.
just be patient and hodl, stay the course.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And the thing with VV2, you can come in and only spend $5 or $2 even and be part of the ecosystem, right? And like, so that's the other piece that I love. And I'm hoping that the MCP has like engagement points, like for just being
Mm,
like more active on social or in the feed. And then these people can like work up to like have a higher allocation of like
that's a great
raffle
idea.
tickets. Yeah, because that would like get people that like don't even really associate with VV, but just like they want to just be literally in the app
Part
to
of it.
increase their chances at the lotto ticket of landing a sick drop.
Hmm.
And that would be almost enough to just drive people week to week. And like this is the first time that we've seen this, because like in physical collecting, like it's not like the comic store is like, hey, here's your membership. Maybe there are some out there, but every time you collect a comic you get more points, and then that gives you like a higher allocation for whatever, 50% off a CGC comic at the end of the month or something. We don't really see anything like that, so
People
it'll be
love
interesting.
incentives.
Yeah, right.
Hmm.
And you're collecting your sets, right? Like you're like, do you like to kind of finish sets off? Is that your thing?
For Disney, yes. For
Yeah,
other things, I just will tend to buy what I can or what I really want out of that set. I mean, it's like the Lamborghini. I would love to have the whole set, but again, that's like not really in my range right now. But certain
yeah.
sets, I would love to have all of them. But otherwise, I just um, try to get more of one that I can afford. So like Lamborghini, I got the two what is it, the uncommon and the rare. I got two of each so that I feel like I have some skin in the
Yeah.
game.
I love the comment. Like the white one to me is like
I
the
know that
coolest
one's my
one. It
favorite.
looks Yeah, it looks so good. And they're smart. Like they're knowing now like to give the common kind of like a lot of appeal so that people don't feel disappointed despite the edition size.
I
So
only got a common, but at least it's the best looking one. Yeah.
exactly, right? And again, this is like a scarce drop, like 5,000, and if there's any application for it in the VBverse with like transportation, when you can rent it out for $5 a day or $2 a day, like that's so cool.
I know, I love that. That's what
Yeah.
I want to do for sure. I'm like, I have to have more than one because I want to be able to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. So with the current like landscape, what drops are you kind of like most looking forward to? Like we haven't really had something huge like a, Cinderella or like Snow White or like the Little Mermaid.
Mhm.
And I guess, are you kind of like, do you have any things that you're just already now moving money aside to be like, oh, I'm saving up for Cinderella if it drops? Or are you kind of just like playing it by ear, or like is there like one that you're really like looking forward to?
Um, Mainly I'm playing it by ear because I just have like no idea what they'll end up going for. I mean, there's a couple characters that are like kind of my favorites that if they dropped, I would definitely go into stacking mode again. For me, that's like Nightmare Before Christmas, which I know is difficult because of
Mm,
ownership rights on that. But oh my god, I would stack the heck out of Jack Skellington. um, I love Sully from Monsters Incorporated. I love Baymax,
wow.
those kind of characters. Certain collections, like if they, I don't know, if they brought out like a full princess collection, I would probably want to like complete that set. I'm really excited now to see when they do more of the characters. I mean, I love the artworks and things. I loved the pop-up cards they did, but I really am excited and looking forward to having the actual characters. And especially how well they did in Kanto. I can't wait to see them do some of these because I mean,
Mhm.
just that team is wow, so good. Like, so I'm really excited to see the detail and, full color, um, hopefully a little bit of animation in some of
Right.
those. But no, I can't say that I have money aside per se, but I would figure out a way.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's generally my strategy too. I'm like, "Oh, I can always make something
Make
happen."
it
Like,
work.
yeah. But I mean, it's fascinating because like I always forget, like people are always so concerned about what the next drop's going to be, or like, oh, we need to get Mario, or we need to get Luigi, or we need to get Pokemon or Dragon Ball Z or whatever. And I'm also like, well, yeah, do you remember we already have Elsa, we already have C3PO, we already have Homer and Bart, Winnie the Pooh, like, there's so many things that we already have, and I feel like people are always thinking about like the next shiny new toy when I'm actually starting to like peek backwards and go,
Mhm.
wait a second here, like we already got some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm starting to actually stack things a lot now and I'm like, yeah, and I'm less concerned about what like the future is going to be. And I'm like, I'm kind of saving that for people that, are going to be more interested in the MCP because I feel like it'll be harder to get drops at that point if you don't have a massive collection. And I'm all about like just really significant pieces. I don't really collect sets. I just collect like things
Mhm.
that I think are going to really do well long term. So I mean, yeah. So I mean, if you look at Elsa as an example, I can't get despite the edition size, it is pretty large, but the detail in her is unbelievable. Like that NFT to me, alongside like maybe like C3PO or like my favorite looking ones.
Well, and the fact that that is for a lot of people in the community, that's like a top 3 if you say, like, what is the best? Not talking about, like, value, scarcity, or
Yeah,
any of that,
exactly.
but what is the best? She is often part of people's top 3 or top 5, and that's coming from males. So,
Yeah.
imagine when we get more females in the app and more families and more kids. And I mean, those are the kind of pieces that they're going to want in their collection. And I'm kind of the same way with, I see the landscape and how everybody's kind of waiting for the shiny new thing. And that's where I try to have money set aside and ready for, because when we get like a really really huge announcement, I was peeking around a lot during the Lambo announcement and things didn't drop to the extent that I actually thought they were going to, um
Mm,
which I guess is saying something. Like, that's a good thing. I mean, the whole market could have tanked like crazy and it didn't, because I was ready to snipe some stuff if that was the case. But obviously some of these huge brands, if they ever come to be, we know it'll have a huge effect. And that's when I want to make more moves. So I'm trying to be patient and not worry so much that I haven't completed every set that I want to complete, or that I haven't stacked to the extent that I want to, because I'm waiting for those things to happen. And I think that other people are too. And then I will go in and try to, collect more of what I really value the most. Um,
mhm.
but I also have this fear, like, oh, it could bite me in the ass, because you know, having an announcement, a huge announcement come, could bring in a lot more traffic, and all those people could come in and start looking around and just start buying stuff up at the same time. It's hard to predict. I
It
mean,
is.
we've seen kind of historically what happens, so I'm not too fearful, and I at least get things that are really really important to me no matter what. But yeah, you never know what's going to happen and when things are going to just take off.
Yeah, love that you said that. And I think, bear markets can create millionaires. And like if you believe in Vivi and you think it's gonna have another mass adoption cycle, or like, we're gonna get there, then right now is like a pretty big opportunity. Like when you're seeing these things, because like, remember back in the boom, you're if you unless you were like taking out 10K, you weren't really getting anything significant at that point. Like in January, February of last year, like, it was difficult. Like, and so you just had to almost like watch like join the wave or sell things
Mhm.
off. Like there wasn't really an opportunity to stack. So
Right.
yeah, it's tough. And do you remember way back in the day where like during the Disney Golden Moments week, we were trying to establish the connection between Elsa, the Mickey Fantasia hat, and the partner statue. And I think I did a video where I was saying like there was a sculpting tool or something that looked like a sculpting tool on the bottom
Yeah.
of Elsa's foot. And
Yeah.
the sculptor needed to use, I think, Fantasia, like Mickey from Fantasia's hand in
Mm-hmm.
order to properly create like the partner statue. It's essentially, I think, like the thing. But they said that like there was a connection. I remember I reached out to Reese or something, and there was like, oh, there's a connection, but that's not it. And maybe
Mm-hmm.
one day we'll reveal it. But did that ever come to fruition? Or
That I've heard. I heard
yeah,
the tool get debunked,
okay,
um, but I have not heard the connection myself. I would love to know.
yeah. I was really
Question for
trying
Alex when he comes on.
to. We should try to figure this out because I'm really curious because I'm hoping that there's more like Easter eggs like that as well in the
Oh
future.
yeah, me
And it
too.
right?
Hmm.
Like it'd be so cool if like they did something like that and it like pointed to like you know to go get a future collectible and then you collected all four and then you got like something airdropped to you that was like amazing, right? Because you were like digging, that's the stuff where I'm like Disney, like come on, like Vivi, come on, like they should have like David Yu a second one, like a clone that just like talks about like collecting and like how to make people go crazy for this stuff. They need like almost like a master head collector person that maybe it'd be you that just gets in
Yeah.
there and just is like, okay, for this we're gonna do that and we're gonna make them wait, and whoever doesn't like or who believes in this product, maybe we'll burn it for the people that didn't, like stuff like that. Like I just want somebody in there that's like continuously providing that engagement, because in like these small NFT projects like a kid called Beast, like every week it's like frig man, they're just rolling out updates here, updates there, because they
Mhm.
know that they have to keep that sustained engagement. So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? Sorry, I know I was getting excited there.
I know. I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
I mean, I like it. It's just hard though with these companies that are so big. Like
yeah,
I don't know that they can do it, but I would love to see that sort of engagement and just creating almost like a frenzy in the collectability of items. I think it'd
yeah.
be really cool.
Yeah, because like you even see that in like video games, like like just how elaborate some of those like plans can be, and like like they have like things in open worlds where like you collect like 30 keys that are in like these secret locations, and if unless you're watching like a YouTube tutorial, it could literally take you months to find it, and then like once you get all those keys, you got like a special weapon or something, right? And like that's the kind of stuff like in Vivio, I'm like if just if they were almost like the author of the Harry Potter books, like setting things up like at the first book all the way to the seventh, and it's like that's the kind of stuff I'm like hoping Disney will start to do, like
Me
or
too.
something, right?
But you know what? You're reminding me. We do have potentially that situation brewing right now with the Infinity Stones.
Such a good point.
So, I
Yeah,
mean, I feel like they're really not trolling us. If they're trolling us on that, it's like, it's the biggest troll ever. But these stones and gotta collect them all, and I don't know. There's something there. There's something there. And if that happens in the way that we all hope it happens, that's gonna be massive. That's like a game changer because that's gonna be something they haven't done yet. And it's the beginning. It'll be the first time it's done, and it'll be the beginning of potentially something even greater. So I really hope that it goes the way we want it to. We'll find out.
I think you're right. And I totally forgot about that. And I
Yeah.
actually saw old Rhubarb's video recently where he had like the Infinity Gauntlet in the background. Somebody tweeted it out. So maybe there's, like you said, maybe there's something there. And what do you think that drop would give you? Like, would it just give you like a Infinity Gauntlet, or would it like give you like a friggin'
Now we're getting
Thanos?
full speculation mode.
Yeah,
I mean, I hope that collecting all the stones gets you the gauntlet, and then it's somehow activated or something. I mean, people have gone like way down the rabbit hole of like, you can
yeah.
snap and make this happen, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Burn half of the collectibles on Vivi. Yeah, I know. I know. They get too into it,
But if
right?
it, if we did get it, and then there's even like added utility on top of that, that would be really cool. That'd
That
be
would be
really exciting.
cool. That would be so crazy. Like there're just so many ideas that can come from it, right? And I think that's
Mhm.
the thing that we keep having to forget is like it's so crazy, like the opportunity in Vivi, but then also the amount of effort needed and to like actually produce a lot of this stuff. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
like yeah, like right now they're great at doing like the drop cycles and keeping up with that, but like to scale and to have like this head
More
collector person,
experiences.
yeah,
A lot.
experiences, it's a lot. And I was actually talking to a few people recently. I think it was like Will Goes Meta, and he was talking about like some of the venture capitalists that and originally invested into Vivi. But this is where I think it would be really interesting if they were able to like onboard new investment companies that kind of see the same vision that we have and were able to
Mhm.
like help grow that side of things.
That would be really exciting.
Yeah, and it's the same thing like back to my job. I know I keep throwing this in there, but like
That's good examples.
yeah, like I just like work with like nurses and stuff, and a lot of times when we like need to like onboard like a new practice or something needs to be like done, they're so busy doing their like 9 to 5, they're like, screw off, I don't have 10% of my time to give you to like work on this new thing that's not relevant or is going to help me in any way. So
Right.
like that's not my job, and it's difficult to make the time for you. You have to go like almost above and beyond those 40 hours a week, right? So
Yeah.
it's an issue. Like it's a difficult thing to think about.
But if this does happen, it will show that not only were they continuing with the current day to day, drops, meetings, um, build out a VV verse, all that stuff. But if this continues, it shows that they were also working on these other elements at the same time, which is difficult. They have a
Right.
lot on their plate, and the team is growing, and they're putting other people in areas to focus on this kind of stuff. But yeah, if they're able to bring something new like that, and it just shows that the vision is so far out there.
Exactly.
They are really actually steps ahead of us.
They really are, and they kind of know what's best for us, despite our all
Yeah.
the critiques and the FUD in the community. But the thing is like what's really motivating is there's a lot of whales that I'm in communication with, and almost every day they're sending me something crazy, like a new mint they've acquired or a new collectible
I
they
know one of the ones
purchased.
you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I'm just sitting there in complete jealousy and awe, you
Uh-huh.
know.
Be
and
like
and
heart emoji at the same time. I hate you.
exactly. And you're just like, thumbs up. And I think, they mean the absolute best.
Oh yeah, no, it's impressive and it's motivating
Yeah.
too. Like,
It is motivating and it's encouraging because like like okay, there's like obviously people out there that really believe in this. And that's what's interesting to me. And like obviously these people that are really successful and that can do that have been here before or understand market cycles.
mhm.
When the rest of us close up shop and like focus in on like, day-to-day stuff, they're out there like, okay, now this is my time to stack even more. So despite us having fewer people now, I think there's still a really good strong core community.
Yeah, I agree. Great
Yeah.
community. Yeah, and that's some people we are as advocates for the company, we are privy to conversations with people that reach out to us, and so we get to see more so in our faces the positivity and the mindset of a lot of these collectors, and the general community doesn't necessarily see that. So I'm like constantly motivated of these people who send me their collection updates, or how many comics they have and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that's awesome, but not everybody else sees that. And so that's something that helps me. I'm not just bullish for no reason. I presented with a lot of information that adds to my feelings, and people like that certainly contribute.
Exactly. Well, with that, I wanted to, thank you for coming on. And it's already been an hour. Look how much time flies here when the two of us are talking, and that's what I love. I feel like it's such a natural,
It is.
conversation.
You
Yeah,
do a great job with your questions, but it's such a natural flow, so easy.
it's so easy. Well, you got so much good insight, and I think I'm just really curious. Like I'm really like, how are we gonna get these Disney fans to come in in the masses and
Yeah.
be just as crazy as we are and being like, oh my god, let's figure out what the fuck's going on in Elsa's foot. You know what I'm trying to say? And and just being in there until the answer comes out. And like that's like the kind of energy and excitement I want around this app, where it's like we're
Yeah.
all like in the fandom. And that's what, again, other NFT projects are amazing, but they're lacking that IP piece,
Right.
which all of us is like, grew up learning and living and talking about.
Yeah.
And so I can only imagine when it does happen, it's gonna be like it's gonna like blow up, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, I am so like hungry to see it just like everybody else is, and like, I feel like I almost bear weight. I put pressure on myself because I do truly understand the Disney fandom, and I'm not just speaking out my ass. Like I know
Yeah.
how avid these guys are as collectors, and so I feel onus to do as much as I can to try and get the eyes on too. I mean, I'm trying to do my part, but it's just gonna take time, and we just got to keep doing what we're doing and believing in the product, and putting out that content and hopefully getting more eyes. I'm motivated to do some more park stuff and keep reaching those audiences. It's exciting.
Yeah, and you've been, absolutely smashing it. And I obviously everybody knows, who you are. But if you do not follow Veve Magic, go subscribe to her YouTube channel now. Follow her on Twitter. Check out her TikTok, and I'll leave all those, in the description below. So yeah, I wanted to thank you again, for coming on. I know we've been trying to do this for a little bit, and we're both pretty busy, especially you now, with everything you got going on. So, kudos to you, and a huge fan of yours as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Anytime. Your channel is my favorite to come on to. So anytime I will make it work. It might take me a little bit, but I will get there, I promise.
Amazing.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun.
My pleasure. And everybody I think heard that. So I'm going to just make sure I screen record that part, that this is your favorite channel to come on to. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
All right.
All right. So we lied to you. We're not getting off just yet. We were talking offline, and then I was like, Magic, this is so good. We got to get back online just to talk about this idea. And what you said to me is like, this is Disney 100, which is obviously like a massive, celebratory thing for Disney. And it's the only year that they're going to have these like, digital collectibles be made within the Disney 100 years. So they're probably going to have some long-term significance just for that reason, right?
Yeah, so we got talking about it because I was showing you my latest collectible that I got, and it was this Steamboat Willie ornament. Let me see if I can turn him. There we go.
Yeah.
And he's so cute. And then I said, oh, by the way, he's a Disney 100 collectible. And I was just saying how there's so much of this collectible stuff. I mean, I'll show you a couple of different things. I've got this Castle Snow Globe. That's a Disney 100 piece.
Crazy.
And there's all this stuff that people are going ham over. I mean, this stuff is selling out, and people are collecting it, myself included, up the wazoo. I don't even know how much Disney 100 stuff I have already. There's a whole collection of ornaments. There's just so much stuff. And then, yeah, I just said, do you realize that these are going to be the only digital collectibles in existence for celebrating Disney 100? That's crazy.
It is crazy. And it's implied because anybody that looks at the drop date or the metadata could be like, oh, that was released in 2023. So therefore it's like that 100-year celebration. That's insane. Like, that's just cool.
Tags. There's two of the collections already have the Disney 100 tag. There's something with that story, Disney 100 celebration.
Which ones are those? I forgot about that.
Encanto was one that was a Disney 100 collection, and the app logged me out. I'm trying to remember the other one. It was the other Disney right before that.
But still crazy though to think about it, like, because like that's I don't know, like it's just interesting because I could see
like
how
a light bulb went off for us.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a second, like this is under retail. Good. Okay, well, listen, folks. I think anything else on that? I think we just wanted to really tell you that.
Yeah, I just think it's really remarkable that this is such a huge point in history, 100 years of this company, and we have the opportunity to collect digital collectibles celebrating that, and they're only going to be for this year, and you can't get them anywhere else. So you can have all the physical collectibles in the world, but where else are you going to be able to get the Disney 100 NFTs in digital format? It's just crazy. And a lot of these collectibles are selling for a lot. Oh, this book, in fact, people are going around the parks, and this is like quite the hunt to get them, and they're reselling them. That right now it costs $220. There's going to be more coins, I believe, but it's $220 to collect those coins, and they're already selling on eBay. In fact, a Veve community member has bought them because he can't go to the parks for $400.
Wow. Wow. So, and I mean, what a clean year for like a transition into the digital too. Like after 100 years of physical products, Disney has now made the move. And you know what I mean? Like, it just
look at you, the voiceover.
Yeah. It all just seems perfect. But yeah, I guess we wanted to leave you guys with that. So we're actually going to take off now. And thanks for tuning back in. So cool. Thanks, Magic.
That was a fun PS.
Yeah. All right, we're just joking. We're back for a second time because Oswald was. Oh yeah, there we go. Because Oswald, tell him about Oswald. That's what we discovered right after we got off the line again.
We got offline. My app had logged me out, so I finally got back in, and I said, I have to see what this other Disney 100 drop is. It's going to make me insane not knowing. I should know these things. And we're scrolling down the drops, and we're like, pop-up cards? No, that wasn't it. All right, scrolling. the Cars posters? No, that wasn't it. And then I went, oh my God, it was Oswald. How do I not remember that?
Right.
But that's, I mean, that shows that like we get so many drops and so much stuff. It's so hard to keep track of it. I mean, I've already forgotten. I have the set. Wait, do I? I think I have the set. But I had already forgotten about him. But this being the jump off for the Disney 100 collectibles is like now that I'm like thinking about it more, it's the oldest Disney character in history. And that was this jump off point for the Disney 100 celebration digital collectibles. Like,
Yeah.
wild. Absolutely wild.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like I don't know what it is, but I like really overlooked
Yeah, I
that.
have all
You say, yeah, you're better than me. Like I overlooked that, but now I'm like, okay, I should probably like, rethink about what that means, especially after this conversation. And
That's one that
everybody.
I wanted to stack. I wanted to stack that little animated one. He's so cute. I
Yeah.
haven't. I like him a lot.
Wow. Okay, cool. Okay, let's leave these guys alone now, right? We're
All
actually
right,
gonna take
well,
off, or
fine.
we might have some more news. We'll see how things go. Yeah. Thanks, Magic. Okay, see you for
Yeah.
real now. All right.